Yes, This song is called Be the Change, inspired by the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who lived for peace and not violence, and told us to be the change we wish to see in the world.
Have you been overcome with an irresistible urge to wash your potato? Have you looked out at the world and you're trying to figure out just what the hell is going on? Well, you've come to the right place. We're here with Tom and Ramon in the 100th Monkey Radio, where we are looking in all the little dark, dank corners of our civilization and society and trying to make sense of all this. So, Ramon, what's going on?
Not much. The music you just heard is from the Luminaries, and that's featuring, I always forget his name. I forgot his name. But anyway, it's called Be the Change, and you'll really like this song.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, those guys are they're putting some very relevant. There you go. Thank you very much. and you're the one with the bad grammar. Come on. No, you guys. There's some very relevant lyrics in their stuff. I suggest you guys go over to their website. We have links on our site to them and check them out. They've got some really good stuff, and support them like you support us. And
yeah. The guy's name is Trevor Hall. And I want to thank all of those who have become members. We really highly appreciate it. And if you haven't become a member, take a look at it. The prices are very decent. And like I said before, for those of you who would love to listen to our shows and is really having a hard time, I mean, you're really scrounging and having a hard time, just email us, and we'll give 1 or 2 people free membership for a year, till you can get on your feet.
Yeah.
The other thing is, sometimes you guys send us emails, and we always answer our emails back. It might take us 1 or 2 days, but recently it might go into your spam box. So, and that's also for those who become new members. Check your spam box, and if you don't hear back from us, send us the email again.
Yep, absolutely. We're normally pretty good about it. Within a day or two, we get back to everything. So anyways, who we got tonight, Ramon?
Well, speaking of the song "Be the Change," I would say this is one of our guests is one of the people who is heading on I wouldn't say changing history, but shining the light what really happened, or at least giving us a better idea of what really happened. It's a much better history teacher than the ones I had in school.
Yeah, you won't find most of this material in your history books in grade school. So. Yeah,
I remember getting kicked out of grade school for a couple of weird questions. But anyway, Wayne Herschel, who was born in Zimbabwe in the 1950s and moved to South Africa in later years, has always had a passion for the unexplained. Privileged to experience a paranormal event, he was inspired by the realization that we cannot possibly be alone in the universe. This would become a powerful new point of reference for him in reasoning humankind's and ancient historical heritage, which remains shrouded in mystery to the very day, to this very day. Many years later, in his early 20s, Wayne had another brush with the unexplained. In a motorcycle accident during a cross-country event, he vividly recalling having had what is well documented as a so-called near-death experience. And you guys can read the rest on the website. but I don't want to spend a whole 2 hours reading his thing. Let's find out more about him. Wayne, welcome to the show, and we really appreciated you making the time to come on the show.
Hi, Ramon and Tom. I hope you have an interesting day. Let's get rolling.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with the sighting. Would you call that mass sighting you having as the beginning of your awakening, or was that just another event?
Let's see. That was one of the first things that really sort of changes one's outlook on life. It was the sighting first, and then the near-death experience following that. The second one being the one that really triggered it all off. That was the biggest download of data, because in that near-death experience, I believe I came back with more than I left with. So the sense of responsibility was to bring it forward and for myself, prove that it was real.
So where were you before this the NDE? What was your religious upbringing?
Yeah, I was born Roman Catholic. Never really followed it that much. My parents had a better outlook on teaching my brother and myself about spirituality in simpler forms and more broad spectrum, as being a creation somewhere in the universe. And is God really a man? Is God physical form? It was always a questionable thing, but never sort of installed the definite biblical kind of perspective. So it was more open-ended teaching that there must be a God. And so before that, I would say I had a natural belief in creation and that there would be something behind how we got here. But in that near-death experience, it kind of gelled very well with the broader sense. I think people who have had similar to what I experienced and had a very strong religion tried to change the experience or didn't quite see the most important aspects of it and wanted to believe it as some weird alien intervened experience and perhaps even looking for negative explanations. So for me, it worked very well with my general simple background.
Yeah, that has I guess I should say the intensity of your religious upbringing has a tendency to, well, I guess it's better said that your past experience have huge effect on how people interpret those experiences.
For sure. I mean, there's a very famous author that had the same experience as me and went to this place of light and saw this cosmic tree, and being a very, very religious person, was still looking for the man in the beard sitting in a golden chair.
Right.
And to come back with that, it feels almost incomplete. Whereas for me, seeing the size of this cosmic tree and how it interacted, I mean, there's no other bigger thing. It's just that is the source, and it was instant. It was almost instant recognition and honor, to a feeling of honor towards it. So I suppose it does help to have an open mind to this kind of thing, whereas very religious people would try and see it as something else.
Yeah. So out of that experience, I through looking at your material, out of that experience, you were left with the feeling that humanity was due for or heading towards some cataclysmic end, but we had the ability to change that. Have you seen any change since then in what you see or feel about our future?
Absolutely. Until last year, I was getting a bit worried that perhaps humanity didn't have a hope. It was just going down the path of prophecy, where there'd be an almighty war and a terrible, some kind of cataclysmic event, the proverbial wormwood falling from the sky, in Revelation, for example. And it wasn't until literally the last 8 or 9 months that the human uprising began in Egypt and the eastern countries, and it spread out to the west. We call it Occupy. They call it Arab Spring. It's the same thing. It's a human uprising against the super powerful rich, the manipulators. And it's happening, and I think we have a lot of chance. I think if something can happen this whole next 6 months that will take these people down from their power, and I'm really hoping it's going to happen.
Well, here's some news that probably Tom, I just put up on the thing, and I just saw it. That you neither one of you guys are probably aware of. In Los Angeles might be the first city in the United States to ban the what's it called, the corporate personhood kind of thing.
Oh,
Where
really?
yeah, where your name, like I don't know about South Africa, but in United States, your name is a corporation. So you're not Wayne Herschel the person, but Wayne Herschel the corporation that then your social security number is giving. So they very close to banning that. Um, so
The person's status for corporation.
yes, thank you. And that's in the news section. You guys can check that out.
Wow.
But that I was my mouth was hitting the floor. So um, with
Yeah.
that being said, are you familiar with the 100th monkey theory?
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yeah. Do you see, for example, the Occupy and the Arab Spring? Do you see that as the beginning of the 100th monkey, or do you think we still haven't hit it yet?
Well, I think we're pretty much it could be any way that it goes. There's even rumor that it started off as being an elite-funded movement to bring down an opposing power. It could go in any direction right now, and I think it's important, and this is one of the things that I do daily, is to just spread the importance of understanding what we can do to improve our future, and that's simply spreading the word. And if we could just, by chance, if I could just wave a magic wand and have all those that are on the internet just realize how the system works, the simplicity of that money buys power, and these people that are in power, that are making billions, not the millionaires, they're chicken feed. They're absolutely, in fact, they're going to be one of the victims next. It's the billionaires that are working together to change our reality and take away freedom and make us work harder, longer, and for less. So I think it could go in any direction right now. It could be a war. It could be no war. It could be actually just work its way to making these people put the money back, because they're pretty much thieves in my eyes, and could be held up for humanitarian atrocities, crimes against humanity. If you think about it, there's people that have caused the biggest losses from hedge funds, from Ponzi schemes, from robbing the Federal Reserve, to manipulating banks, interest rates, just making the cost of living go up. That is a crime against humanity, and these people that have pocketed all the money need to put it back. I don't think they need to be strung up or killed or anything drastic. Just put that damn money back. The money back it can go to education, healthcare, and 100 other things that could, change this world to I think a resource-based economy looks like the only answer ahead, because capitalism has this thing in it that profit is never enough, and when they keep wanting more profit, they can just double it, treble it. There's no control over it. So we need laws to prevent greed and profiteering. So yeah, it's hard to say. What do you guys say that it looks like it's doing now? Would you say that there's quite a hope of this spreading, the change, and to bring in the awareness, or do you think that maybe it would just cause more chaos, or what do you think?
Well, I see a lot of things happening. I mean, I see people waking up left and right, and this whole Occupy thing is one of the parts to that conscious awakening, where people are starting to realize that we are our brother's keeper. And I don't know what I think. What I kind of would really like to see is the 100th monkey effect on unity consciousness, where we all know, where it comes into the heart, where we all know that we are fundamentally and naturally connected on such a fundamental level that we are one. And then once that consciousness is out there and everybody understands and knows that, then we go to really addressing the problems of our society. Like, what I would like to see is, let's have a worldwide debt forgiveness. Push that reset button and reset the whole financial system. I mean, that would do so much for. Let's get rid of home mortgages. I mean, come on. We were born on this planet. We shouldn't have to pay to live here. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we got there's a lot of answers out there that people have a lot of really good ideas, and but first I think that unity consciousness needs to be there. That's my own
Yeah.
personal opinion, but
Yeah, with me, it's I feel the Occupy movement and the Arab Spring is the beginning of a lot of awakening, because now, before, when you said, well, there's a 1% that's really controlling everything, a lot of people would be like, you don't know what you're talking about, you're just conspiracy, blah blah blah. But now the majority of people, even the average Joe who, worked hard, pays his taxes, does as the government tells him, is now saying like, okay, there is a 1% and they're taking advantage of us. So I find it as the beginning. I mean, things are gonna look a little rough, but I think they'll get better little by little.
Yeah.
so
Well, I'm hoping the media are going to expose these atrocity, greedy scoundrels. What do you want to call them? As well, just simply expose them by name and hold them accountable. Because according to some economists, I don't know if you guys get Russian TV. One of the speakers is ex-president. He's ex-Wall Street, and he knows very much the full runnings of how Wall Street makes money for these elite people. And if they were simply held up in a law of court, just the amount of damage and illegal atrocities that they have caused, these people could be held for crimes against humanity. So if you don't stop them, they're going to just keep growing and getting bigger and worse until, almost like in the Monopoly game, there'll be one winner, and he's going to basically enslave humanity. So we've got to stop these guys. I mean, surely just have that simple awareness that what they can do is unstoppable until you stop them. So that's my opinion. We've got to keep going until we stop these about 1,000 very powerful people, and they need to put some of that money back that they've robbed.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what I've noticed is the best tactic. When you're up against such odds and such strength, the best tactic is just stop feeding Rome.
Yeah.
Find, and I'm not, everybody can take this as they want, but once you stop feeding Rome, Rome has lost its power, because that's what they feed off. If you're not eating, you're gonna get weak, so you can't fight.
You bring up Rome, Ramon. There's a little tidbit of information that most people aren't aware of about Rome and the fall of Rome. The last 60 years or 50 years of Rome's existence, there was more than 60% of the population of Rome worked for the government. Now, I found that out here just a couple months ago. I learned that a couple months ago, and I looked at the U.S. in particular, and how there's so many people work for some government entity of some kind, or some offshoot of a government entity, or something that supports the government, the defense contractors, or just. I saw such a parallel, and I was like, "Oh my God, the U.S. is doing the same thing. They're imploding by the weight. When you get such a large amount of people that are reliant upon the tax base, they just continue to have to raise the tax base and collect more and more and more and more and more, and that weight just crumbles the whole society." So, yeah. So, anyways, let's get off of that, and let's dive into some of your work, Wayne.
Yeah.
I find that the astrotheology stuff is just absolutely amazing. It's all over the world, and all this archaeology and these old things that we're finding, the star maps and the correlations between just Orion and the Pleiades, and those things are just absolutely amazing me. The stuff we're finding throughout the world.
Yeah. Before we get
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, before we get into that, I would like to know, how is it that you actually started your research. Did did you go to school for this? If you did, let us know so we can go as well. um,
Well,
how did you?
uh-huh. Go
Because
ahead.
I
So
know
you're
there's a lot of other
getting a bit
people.
of a delay in signal.
Oh, are we? I was. I I want other people to know how is it that they want to do research on this? How is it that they can get started
Yeah.
as you did?
Yeah, okay, personally my background was zero. Joe Average has some weird experience, and Joe Average comes back with like this download of incredible material, and that's pretty much how it was with me. I struggled through school, pretty much left as soon as I'd had my basic O levels, which I don't know what in the US you do O levels, M levels, A levels. I left quite early because I wanted to get into a career, and I didn't have much interest in history the way it was taught, or any specific skills as such, rather than, okay, let me try sales. I didn't have much interest in school. I wasn't a scholar or any intellect as such that people think. You have to be university degree to do what I was doing. But in this near-death experience, I asked a few questions. The experience allowed me to interact, and what it was okay, I saw that this great light at the end of the tunnel, and most people get to that great light and get sent back. And there was something about my appearance as a spirit, perhaps, that they knew that I recognized what this was in front of me, or that I was of some use, that I'm the kind of soul that would go back and sort of dedicate my rest of my life to getting that information spread, or I don't know what it was that they saw in my soul, but they gave me the information. Well, this area, these beings in white that let me go into this area, which I believe is like Eden, let me interact with this cosmic tree. Now, this cosmic tree looks like something. Let's try to describe. Let's take a palm tree and multiply it by 10 to the power of 10 zeros, and make it light and actually moving. It's actually alive. And the top parts of the tree actually look like snakes and serpents and these streamers of light that seem to be living. And as you, as a soul being allowed into this area, you can call on it, and it reacts with you. And it looks like a big cobra coming at you, makes contact with you, and you can interact. It's like 1,000 voices speaking all at once. And my first question was, I knew what this was, and I was humbled, and asked, who are we? What is humanity in relation to this creation? And it had two answers, and there were two very big answers. I mean, one is the spiritual, this is where we come from, this is the birth of all souls that get given life as a gift, and souls come back here and actually measured. And as the soul becomes more in harmony with everything that is a gift in creation, they go to more paradisial places. Light goes with light. It's a very simple thing. And the physical answer was our bloodline, where we came from, is very complicated. It's tied in with a whole group of star travelers who came from a star system. There's 3 different sun-like stars in the area that is in close vicinity to the Pleiades, so you can measure its position using Orion and the Pleiades. And these ancient star maps that I saw were all around the world. Our ancients knew about them, and they'd left them behind. And I had to go and literally look for them just to see that my experience was real. So that was my first burning desire was, okay, I've had this experience. Let me see if it's real now. And it took years to find all the examples that I'd seen at this cosmic tree. For example, I'd seen the biggest one first, which is there's a star map on the planet Mars, with pyramids on Mars, with a lost civilization, and these pyramids were laid out in a position to match the Pleiades as one reference point, and the Mars face and a 5-sided pyramid, and there's another one, make this triangle around it, showing positions of 3 nearby sun-like stars that are near our solar system, where our ancients, our ancestors originated from. And you find it in all different ancient cultures, in Egypt, in Sumeria, in the Mayan, Aztec, Olmec areas, Inca, South America, African star maps, India, Indonesia, you name it. They've got this in history, and it seems to be forbidden history because it wasn't allowed to carry forward. And I think there's been people before me by the hundreds They tried to bring it forward from a similar life experience, and I'll tell you what, they would have been put to death as heretics or witches and burnt at the stake. This is stuff that our elite people do not want us to know and to spread because it's totally against their best interest. This information brings in peace and harmony and understanding and unity, and the elite don't want that. They want chaos, war, and to rape and plunder foreign countries. So I can see why, when I made this public, why there was some kind of interfering factor, very advanced cyber attacks on my website, any event that I was doing, and even threats now. And my book is still stuck in limbo in the US now. It's stuck with Amazon because it had an attempted takeover of the copyright by one of my distributors, and then he died mysteriously in this case. It's like a Da Vinci story, the Da Vinci story. Heavy stuff, guys. I'll tell you what, and I'm stepping back now. There's a couple of Freemasons that have advised me, look, if you carry on going very strongly, they'll take you out. Forget it. You have to sit back now and let things change around it and do it very slowly. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
So, were these star beings that came here? Were these the Anunnaki that are talked about, or were these before the Anunnaki?
They go by many names in different cultures, but kind of simply the human ancestors, our ancestry, and all civilizations came from different parts of the star system, the two different star possibilities. Most of them seem to come from the one. The sort of Western tradition and European lineage is predominantly with one. That is, with the Christian Bethlehem star history, that's the one that's probably the closest star to us. But the Eastern tradition seems to focus more on one of the others in this triangle of three sun-like stars. They're all measurable in astronomy. They exist. They've got star reference numbers as G spectrum, which is actually even better for life than our G2 star. These are G5s. So they're all there. They're measurable. These maps can be seen and looked at by scholars. I've had astronomers get involved with it, be excited about it, want to make a great movie about it, but then there's the element of interference that seems to get in and threaten them, and they drop it like a hot potato and run for the woods. They don't want to be a part of something that is involving people that are making threats. So here we are. We're sitting with this amazing story, and nobody wants to know except the public that gets a chance to find it free on YouTube and on websites. So I'm taking it very carefully from here forward. And I think it's going to have its own break if I just let the human uprising take care of the situation at hand. We have our lives to worry about before we start looking into this history. I think it can wait for now as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, there's so much can be gleaned from our history and from understanding the true source of humanity, the true source of who and what we are. I mean, once we realize that we come from out there, we originated from out there, it takes us to a whole new level of understanding who and what we are.
Yeah, there was something you said on Mel's show, because I was listening to it, and it was amazing. You're so right. It's kind of hard to fight somebody that you're blood related to. Okay, me, you, and Tom might not be blood related, by one generation, but down the line we're all related and we're all family. So it's really hard, to do that and to realize that it's kind of hard to hate somebody who looks a little different from you when you know that you guys are the same gene pool.
Yeah, there's a bigger part to it. If you think of what it was like a few centuries ago, let's just go back in history a couple of centuries. Now, you're a king of a great empire. Your normal way of living is to rape, plunder, and conquer. I mean, these were the ways of the days. You can just simply pick up a big army, go next door to another country that spoke a different language, call them heathens, say that these people are our enemies because we have this land and we want their land and they might come and attack us. So let's go and kill them anyway and take their gold, kill their men, and take the women and children as slaves. It's kind of profitable. Let's go do it. Now, you've got this information that says, whoa, hang on a minute, these are the same ancestors. These people came from the same sacred place as us. Our ancestors believed that we should share the resources of the earth. There's no evil people. They're just simply the same people as us that speak a different language, different races even, from different parts of different advanced solar systems. All of that brings in unity, peace, and harmony, having this information out there. So what did they do? They encoded it in some of the biblical writings. They put it into documents that they called witchcraft, the Clavicular Solomon records, where it had evil things fictitiously fabricated to put in with it to make people sort of not see this information. Also encodes the information around a shrouded nonsense story. So if you found with it, of course, you're a witch now. You can be burnt at the stake. So they have this very clever sort of way of hiding it and encoding it. And that's the part that really upset me. And that's why I called it the hidden records, because it was. Everything that I found in every library around the world was obscure, deemed as something really written by some madman. And some of the best pieces of evidence are in obscure places that the public or the media don't really publicize. It's as if there's somebody out there that sees a story developing, goes in and sinks it. So it's kind of lost knowledge in that sense. But I'm making it quite easily available. So if people go to my website, it's there, it's for free. You don't have to buy books. That's one of the things that I experienced in that near-death out-of-body experience, was that, put a price on this and you lose it as fast as you've got it. So it has to be freely available. Sure, do books in it as well for those that can afford books, that make most of the fundamentals free. And that's the code I live by. And I've got to go slowly with it. So let people look at it in their own time, and it'll get its break. When the time is right, some media will see the value of it and won't be afraid, and will run with it.
So what is your website so people can pop over there while we're talking and check your stuff out?
Sure. All the ancient star maps are on thehiddenrecords.com. The very sort of controversial Hebrew star map has its own page because it's a massive story. That is keyofsolomon.net. And then the spiritual material and origins and comparing the tree of life in every civilization and my own experience and the images of it is oneism.org, ONEISM.org.
Yeah, there's just a ton of material on there. I started reading and I was like, oh my God, this guy's got a huge database here. Yeah, so check out that material, guys. You can. How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Yeah, so I guess we just established this week's homework.
Yeah, there you go.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about how much have you looked into Michael Tellinger's Adam's calendar?
Quite a bit. Michael, being another South African, found his area where these ruins were seemed to have some kind of star correlating material. He also found references to the Orion constellation. He also found that 3 hills nearby seem to be mirroring the heavens. Actually, Michael's work is fantastic. I have, obviously, seeing how my material has been accepted in society, they still say I need more evidence. Michael will probably need to find a little bit more to really get some sort of scholar following what he's found. For example, other artifacts with writing on the one fantastic breakthrough, which he hasn't got yet, or a little bit more. I'm hoping Michael really finds a little bit more, and I tell you what, if he does, that'll make a lot of sense, because it's just another ancient civilization that had the same original knowledge, but it seems the African records are truly, truly erased. I mean, there's so little left of it. To find even an artifact right now that's over 5,000 years old with a bit of writing on it would really be great, but there's so much missing. There's just some big wave washed over the whole of Africa, and all we've got are these foundation ruins. So I'm hoping Michael finds more. Right now we need to find more on the Africa story.
I'm real curious about those 2 pyramids that are near Adam's calendar, and I'd like to see somebody excavate those things and
Exactly, that's it.
Yeah.
For now they look like just hills. We need to uncover and see if there's blocks, and then I tell you what, that'll be quite a breakthrough.
Yeah, I was actually surprised my wife, because I live here in Japan, and my wife had discovered on some little news thing they were talking about Michael Tellinger and the Adams calendar and the recent uh not gathering, what's it called?
Conference.
Yeah, thank you. The more English I teach here, the more I forget it. Um, the recent conference. But here's a question. With we know there's pyramids all over the world, and some people even think there's a pyramid in the Atlantic Ocean. Have you found any evidence? So we know Egypt, and we know about the cenotes in Mexico. Have you found in other places like North America, in other South America, Central America, have you found other cenotes or what's the other word? Underwater things, underground water for these pyramids?
I think it's important that that people realize that yes, cenotes are the ultimate experience for a pyramid. There's a geological something in the flow of water being underneath the pyramid, and I think Egypt had them as well because there's they call it the cave of the crows beneath Giza. There's underground cenotes in Egypt even. So I haven't found any other references other than the Mayans. But I'm pretty sure if you look at the geology on them, most of them, in fact 90% of them, were built next to very powerful rivers. The Nile River alone, being next to it, is pretty much the same field of energy that flows near these pyramids. And I believe it's an earth energy that is being used inside the pyramid to, not for the dead, but to induce the soul out of the body of the living initiate, which it's a very controversial subject. So I think that's one of the most powerful reasons to build a pyramid is to have the spiritual experience in there, whether it be linking to the creation through it, like a church, a holy place, like a stupa or a dolmen, or to go one step further and the soul can vibrate out of the body and travel the stars. And they have these star gates, star shafts. And the biggest pyramid is a learning mechanism for the initiate. And by drinking water that has been stored in these pyramids, the so-called name holy water, it makes it perhaps purged with neutrino particles that induces this advanced out-of-body experience. That is the one half of it. The other half is obviously they're laid out in the position of star patterns to teach about their link to the stars. So the whole meaning and connectivity with pyramids it's a stargate. It's something between us and the stars to travel and to connect with creation. And it has its two main functions. One, to induce the body, the spirit out of the body, and number two, its position laid out on the ground is to teach about the most important stars. So it seems to be a common thing around the world. You'll see it on my website. I think I have 23 now, different ancient star maps to compare, and you can just see the pattern is conclusive. It is a very complex pattern, and they all seem to have the identical X that marks the spot on it, the most important sunlight star, and then there's two others. So people, decide for themselves.
Here's the one thing I found. I was watching a video, and it's called "The Secrets Hidden in the Pyramids of Egypt," and I was blown away when they made a comparison between the Giza pyramid and what Tesla was building in Long Island, New York, and he had almost the same thing where naturally there was this water flowing under the tower he was making, and it was similar to the pyramids. So I was like, I had the oh shit moment where I was like, he knew something. So if what he was building was supposed to give the planet free energy, then these pyramids must do this exact same thing, because other than not being, he didn't use the pyramid shape, but the under part, the way I forgot what it's called, under Giza they have
the aquifer.
Yes, thank you. The two tunnels they dig under the aquifer, it's almost exactly the same as what Tesla built. So I was in shock.
Yes. I mean, think about it. When an oil company or a water company looks for underground water or oil, what do they bring in? They bring in somebody called a dowser. What does a dowser do? He uses paranormal science to try and find the location of these fields. There's something measurable that, for example, a dowser is somebody that has a gift where they know when this paranormal force is moving the muscles to turn. For example, you know that stick that's like in a Y shape. The way it works, when you ask a dowser, he'll tell you. You know, his one muscle is stronger than the other, and it makes the stick bend a specific way. When, for example, going into a field, just like a dead frog's leg hanging on a line in a thunderstorm starts to twitch. The stronger muscle overpowers the weaker muscle, so it actually moves. So this electromagnetic energy is there, and flowing water is the biggest cause. It's the most amazing sense of power down there. What is that energy? I would still say it's subatomic in some ways. Electromagnetic with some subatomic connection to neutrinos. I think this amazing spiritual thing is subatomic, and that's the part we've got to learn about. It's something we know so little about, but it seems to be there, and people claim paranormal events, lightheadedness, and spiritual awakening in places like on top of mountains, in caves, in mountains. They're all the same thing. And it's a natural earth-based energy.
Yeah, are you familiar with Chris Dunn's work with the pyramids?
Partly, yes. What do you think of his theory? I'm not too convinced with it, but it does have some basis of reasoning. What is your opinion on it?
Well, I think he's got something there. I think he's on the right track as far as realizing that there was another purpose for the pyramids. I'm right. I'm 100% on board with the initiation properties of the pyramid also, but I think it had another purpose. I feel intuitively, I feel it had another purpose, and I think energy is part of it. I'm not exactly sure. I think I feel like he's missing parts. Well, I think he acknowledges he's missing parts to put it all together. But there's definitely something there.
With that being said, Tom, with the pyramid, are you familiar with Ralph Ring?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Ralph Ring?
No.
Okay. I'll give you his story really quickly. He basically in the 1950s. Him and what was his name, Tom?
Otis T. Carr.
They had built some flying crafts, and what he said about and I'll tie into the pyramid. What he said about the flying craft was that when you touch these motors that they made that weren't really motors, it produces energy. But the more important thing was that this became consciousness. And in order to use this, you had to have consciousness. And because we're at such a lower consciousness that sometimes you would blank out, so he wouldn't remember taking the ride on the UFOs they built. Okay, now let me tie this really quickly into the pyramid. Now, if they were using this kind of same energy that supposedly this free energy or this energy they were getting from the water, then it would also have to be a place where they're training people with high consciousness in order to use these pyramids. Because how else, if this is true what Ralph Ring is saying, then only people with high consciousness can go into those pyramids. Because if not, when you're at that moment, what you're seeing, you're basically creating your nightmares. So if you're a fear-based person, then you can't really be in those places. And for me personally, one of the evidence for that, it's not hard evidence, but Napoleon slept in the sarcophagus, and he had extreme nightmares and never wanted to go near again. So what's your thought on that?
There's been three people that have documented the night alone in the pyramids. One, Napoleon. There was Howard Bunton, who was a scientist. And the third one, no name, but the experience was claimed almost identical, I think one of the first things you find in falling asleep in something like a king's chamber, this is some kind of a portal to spiritual activity. And one of the first experiences, even if it's just going into natural sleep, would be these spirits can reach your subconscious when you're asleep, and they can torment you. And for those that were perhaps having a trance-like state and were naturally induced into a trance-like state, the same experience, they would be tested by spirits. It's almost like an initiation. Are you worthy of knowing the truth or not? And it seems to be the same. There's the awareness of being tricked into being very in great danger. And I think if you know the truth about the spiritual world, these are apparitions, but they cannot really harm you, and you have a faith in God. You're worthy by knowing that this is not going to harm you. And I think they would have gone a lot further if they were not afraid and realized this test was pretty much a cyber test, and it was all visual, nothing really dangerous. It was, if they pass that test and realize that it's not dangerous, and they have faith and God creation interests of purity and stability in the universe and not a threat to it, they'd be allowed to go further. I think it's just part of the design. It's a test on those spirits that are undergoing this event in the pyramids. Are they worthy or not? And if they're afraid, they're probably not allowed to see much further than a specific level. So I think it's just part of the design.
Makes me want to go sleep in the pyramid now. A lot of people use they have a well, I guess back in the 70s we went through quite a pyramid phase here in the U.S. where people were building these little pyramid structures for meditation and that sort of thing. Do you think that is it the pyramid shape itself has some resonant effect with the universe, or drawing that type of conscious energy to it?
I think it's perhaps only possible to get that pyramid energy using solid rock. It needs to be size. Size matters in this case. Those pyramid-shaped objects using metals probably have a very, very fractional effect, and you'll see the science on it is still, it's like pretty much compared to normal events and results and experiments. It needs solid rock, and the best part of it is the granite part, which is the core, and the positioning of the inner core being granite. Granite is remarkable in many ways. It's called spirit stone to the Egyptians, and you'll see the best parts of these designs use granite. So size matters, volume matters. The bigger, the better, the stronger. That's why I think the Great Pyramid, the bigger one out of all of them, was the Initiate's Pyramid. This is the one that would take an average person that knew very little about spirituality, and it would have the greatest effect, and they would learn and feel it using the big pyramid first. And as the soul becomes used to it and more powerful and more, can sense how to get into deep trance, you can use a smaller pyramid until they can, in time, just lie down in a bed anywhere and have an out-of-body experience. So size matters. It's got to be the big and solid man-made mountain to be real.
Interesting. So have you been able to instigate the out-of-body experience again for yourself?
Pretty much no. Even if I did, I would say no, because if you can imagine, somebody who can would be pretty much used for military purposes, and they would just go missing. But I'll tell you straight now, since having the natural near-death experience, out-of-body experience, I would believe that I haven't since then, because I'm not ready, and it would not allow me to continue my commitment in getting the word out there. So I'm following a natural path, knowing that if I get the chance, I will take it. If I don't get the chance, I won't even pursue it. It's probably quite an easy thing that people can do. I'd love to tell people to go and try it. And the simple thing is to read on the oneism.org The Secrets of Deep Trance and Meditation, and let them experience it themselves and see how the retina. This is an amazing simple bit of science, and I'll explain the simplicity of it. In deep trance, early in the morning, if you can have your body asleep and your mind awake, as you're just awakening, you can spend days training your subconscious ready for it by repeating the words, when I wake in the morning, I'll call on this light. I want to experience the power of creation. Just something simple like that, and read it over and over on a piece of paper for 3 or 4 days. You'll find one morning you wake up, your subconscious is learning the little trick to call on the light, and your body is allowed to go back to sleep again. You have what I would describe as retinal feedback from the creation. Your retina works with light coming into the lens normally, but now a closed eye in darkness can feed retinal stimulation by spiritual activity. For example, through the third eye, some kind of neutrino-based energy can feed information to your retina, and from behind, from the optic nerve angle going from the pituitary gland or something unique, but you will start seeing hundreds of pictures all at once, and you need to pick out one picture and interact with it, call on it, ask the creation, show me important things. You pick a little detail and focus on it. I'm trying to show in lectures how people can do it themselves, and it takes a bit of dedication and training, and everybody can do it. But one very important thing is don't drink tap water. The powers that be are putting fluoride into our water, and it's to stop people from having that spiritual connection. So all those things are put on the wonderism.org website. It's really important.
Yeah. I've actually been able to instigate that out-of-body experience myself. The conscious intentional. It's an amazing experience, and you definitely need to have yourself prepared and spiritually sound to jump into those realms without reaching those places. I mean, there's so much out there, and if you go out without having a solid foundation, you'll be tested. So that's one part of it, that you want to make sure that you have a good solid foundation and understand that there's nothing out there that can harm you. There's nothing out there that can harm you. It can teach you a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. There is a slight risk. There is one very slight risk. Those that are not of firm belief in creation, that have a fear of evil or something like that, there is a huge risk that if they go into a deep trance and are fearful and not a strong believer in creation, that a soul out there that is dormant, that has a bit of its own freedom and miserable intent to annoy people, could easily join in with the dual occupation of your body. Schizophrenia, where another soul exists inside your body, and they can actually ride your soul and be with you and cause a lot of irritation in one's life if you have a second inhabitation. Schizophrenia thing seems to be when a soul literally steals the use of another human body. So that will never happen for one who believes in the creation and challenges any attempt of an invasion like that, and simply just challenges in the name of creation, just be gone. And it's a simple thing, but you need to be strong of faith to do this sort of thing. And there's stories as well of people getting out of their body and not feeling sort of strength enough in spirit to get back into their body, and they've spent many hours trying to get back into their body, and the most fearful feeling in the world, and they can't. So there is a little bit of mental training, but it all depends on one's belief in creation, God. And I tell you what, having that strength of understanding of the basis of it, the creation literally protects you if you believe in it. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
You know, what I find astonishing is someone who's schizophrenic, the gray matter around their brain is basically gone. And for example, someone who meditates every day, the gray matter increases. So I haven't tied it in yet what that means exactly, but I find that quite amazing. But to bring it a little bit into what we're talking about and the past, so it seemed like right after the flood, it's the reset button, and that's the beginning of the forgetting. And I could be wrong about this, but what started the beginning of the forgetting? Was it just the flood itself that now, instead of having this high technology, now we got to pick up twigs and learn how to farm again? Or what was it in your opinion?
Yeah, it is my opinion, and it's a probability aspect. And I can say that the most probable scenario seems to be the solar system was occupied by many races from different parts of the star systems near the reference to the M45 star cluster of the Pleiades, all before the flood, before 10,000 years ago, literally 10,000 years ago, the round figure, experimenting with Earth as being not the greatest planet. It's a little bit big. Our structural skeletal makeup isn't really in tune with this amount of gravity. We are more in tune with a smaller planet like Mars was, about half the Earth gravity before it was impacted. Mars would have been the jewel of the solar system, having 25 degrees Celsius on its equator. Beautiful conditions. We'd have the power like an ape has here on the Earth. Any gorilla, monkey, you see the power that they have. We should have that by birth on this planet, but we don't, because we more inclined to have evolved on a smaller world like Mars, but in the Pleiades area. So this solar system seems to have been just at its beginnings of being colonized. And something ended it, and this is a catastrophe that Sitchin, Zechariah Sitchin, discovered from the Sumerian story of an impact event hitting a planet between Mars and Jupiter. I mean, the asteroid belt has something in it that scientists must agree with now because it's obvious. There's solid chunks of iron floating out there. I mean, 2 kilometers wide chunk of iron. The only way that iron can form is from the inside of a planet by distillation. The metals form a core. This is a lost planet that is destroyed in the asteroid belt. It's probably the simplicity of a small Earth-like planet and a moon being separated by Jupiter's pull, because it's very close to Jupiter, so it would have lost its moon. And then perhaps 10,000 years ago, after millions of years of orbital rotations around the sun, the moon caught up with the planet again in the same orbital path, and then its planet was impacted by its moon, and that was the end of that planet. And the debris from that destroyed Mars, and a big chunk of it hit the Earth at the time of the proverbial biblical flood. So you can imagine any advanced cultures on this planet having tsunamis cover most of the occupied areas that were near the seas and rivers. And then, of course, the darkness that followed. The atmosphere would have been blocked literally from sunlight for a year. People will be hunters and gatherers again. Families don't care about education. They're worried about being stuck on a desert island, just surviving. And all that lost information was tradition that was handed down by word, because they forgot the way of reading and writing after a few generations. So, we were hunters and gatherers after being advanced people. So it's quite easy to erase a civilization.
Yeah.
Let me cut you off there. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, we're hitting the top of the hour here. So for our BBS listeners, would you like to leave them a parting statement for the first hour, and then we'll pop over into the members section and continue on. Just give us your website information and everything for the BBS guys.
Can I do it? Yeah, it's thehiddenrecords.com is the main star map human bloodline story. Keyofsolomon.net is the Hebrew star map story. And oneism, ONEISM.org, is the spiritual story.
Great. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for joining us here on BBS, and stay tuned for Brooks Agnew next, and then pop on over to the website at the100thmonkey.radio.com and pop into the member section and check out the second hour. We're going to continue on with this amazing conversation with Wayne Herschel. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance, and Ramon?
The pain of the love you deny is the pain you carry.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll see you guys in the archives.